We are learning more now after a terrifying home invasion, after a mother uses a gun to shoot an intruder and protect the children inside of her home. Police have released the 911 call that her husband made after hearing the shots fired through the phone. Elizabeth Pran is live in Atlanta on this story now. What happened, Elizabeth?
Well, Melinda Herman was home alone with her children last Friday when she called her husband, Donnie. He was at work in Atlanta. They live about 45 minutes west of Atlanta. She heard an intruder break into her home. That's when she called her husband. The phone call that you're listening to is the 911 call between the husband and the operator. He was on another phone with his wife. Now, keep in mind, he had just taken his wife to a gun range to teach her how to shoot this gun. Listen.
He's in the bedroom? Okay, shh, relax. Just remember everything that I showed you, everything that I taught you, all right? She shot him. She's shooting him. She's shooting him. She's shooting him. She's shooting him.
Okay.
Shoot him again. Shoot him. Oh, no.
Did she came out of the attic?
Screaming at him.
She's screaming at him?
She shot him a lot.
Now, police say Melinda Herman shot Paul Slater 5 times, even hitting him in the face. The mugshot that we have is from 2008. Bill?
Just to be clear on this, Elizabeth, so he's talking to the 911 operator on one phone and listening to his wife on the other, is that right?
Yeah, so he was at work and he called 911 for his wife, and he stayed on the phone with his wife at the time, sort of getting through to her, calming her down a little bit. She was in an attic with her 2 9-year-old children at the time. As far as an update as Slater is concerned, we did speak with the medical center, and they can't release any information in regards to his condition. We have heard multiple media reports that he is still alive, but keep in mind he was shot several times in the face and the torso area, according to the police report. In fact, we have a little bit more of that 911 phone call. Listen here.
I heard a lot of screaming.
Right. I'm sure she's upset.
No, she was shooting.
Right.
I heard him pleading. He was screaming.
Now, she and her children did run to a neighbor's home after the incident, and all 3 of them are unharmed, but obviously very shaken.
All right, Elizabeth Pran, thank you on that story out of Atlanta. Martha has more.
That's an incredible story. So meanwhile, the NRA is drawing new attention to this woman's story as an example of how guns can protect citizens. It's a hot debate. Let's bring in Doug Schoen, former pollster to President Bill Clinton, and Monica Crowley, radio talk show host, both are Fox News contributors. Good morning, you guys. Happy New Year. Good to see you. You too. Boy, what a story. I mean, if you were to craft a scenario where you would, make a good argument for someone having a gun, and what are the chances that she just recently went to the range with her husband, that she just went over all of this stuff with her husband, and then someone tries to break into their home? But Monica, you start. What do you take away from this?
Mrs. Herman has quite instantly become, and I think unwittingly become, an example of responsible gun ownership. I mean, the reason that they had a handgun in their home, and by the way, they kept it very safely, they kept it in an actual safe, was for this very kind of scenario where their lives and their property was being threatened. And in this case, she was working from home. A man came up to the front door, burst into the house. She grabbed her 2 children, Martha, ran upstairs, locked herself in a room and then in a bathroom, called her husband, who called 911. They did everything correctly. And this intruder came in. I'm not sure whether or not he was armed, but in any case, she had every right to defend herself, her children, and her property, and she did.
And the creepy thing is that he opened the door, according to the report that I read, where she was hiding, and then she started firing at him. So he was clearly looking for people in the house. He wasn't just looking to come in and grab some money off the dresser and take off, Doug. I mean, it appears that he intended to do harm, and that this woman saved the lives of herself and her family.
That's very clear, and what Monica said is exactly right. There is a good case for responsible gun ownership, but what we're talking about, those of us who support gun violence prevention legislation, is to end irresponsible gun ownership. It's why we need better coordination and more universal background checks. I really don't believe assault weapons have any place in being owned, and I think these high-capacity magazines should go. Gun ownership is fine. This woman, absolutely, Ms. Herman is a hero, and I regard her as such. I'm not against responsible gun ownership. I'm against owning guns that have no place in society.
You know, one of the problems with this dialogue is that it has dissolved into this, sort of frenzy. You've got places like Gawker and this Journal News printing the names and addresses in some cases of people who are legal gun owners in these different communities. I mean, that gets us away. And Doug, you're trying to pull us back to what the conversation is really supposed to be focused on. It gets us away from it, though, Monica. Where is this leading?
Yeah, we're ending up focused on the wrong thing. And in view of these tragedies, the Aurora case, the Newtown shooting, and these are horrendous tragedies, and everybody's heart goes out to the victims and their families in these cases. But what usually happens is a response that is disproportional, and it's also not particularly appropriate because we have an emotional response. And what we end up doing is intruding on basic freedoms, Second Amendment freedoms, and we end up focusing, Martha, on people like Mrs. Herman, law-abiding citizens, rather than focusing on the actual criminals in these cases.
I mean, you can't help but be struck by the fact that because she had a gun, she was able to protect herself and her family. That's the fact, regardless of how you feel about guns in homes. That is the fact. And when you look back at Adam Lanza, Doug, the only thing that stopped him from emptying that gun and those bullets into more children was that he saw a policeman coming towards him with a gun. That's what stopped him. That's what changed the dynamic in Newtown that morning. Okay,
Martha,
I mean that's something that we all have to think about. So it raises this question of arming guards in schools. I mean, this is a serious debate we really need to have.
Yeah, to me, what the NRA said may be a small part of the problem, but I don't think that armed guards in schools is the whole answer. I think we do need to do mental
Doug,
health.
let me ask you this: Would you want to have somebody with a gun, a guard, at your child's school after what happened there?
Well, it's certainly, as I was trying to say, part of the solution. But I don't think it's the whole solution. I think we have to do mental health counseling. I think we have to control the culture of violent video games. And yes, I think we have to do gun control and do better background checks and get rid of the high-capacity magazines. I think we need to do it all. I'm glad the NRA is meeting with the Vice President, and I look forward to seeing the Vice President's recommendations.
Monica, last thought.
Well, we have to see. I mean, the Vice President yesterday caused quite a controversy when he said that executive orders or executive authority might be invoked in this case to do something on gun control. And I think that panicked a lot of people that this administration might overreach. We'll have to see. But I think acting in an extreme way, in an emotional way as a response to these tragedies is absolutely the wrong thing. And when you look at poll after poll, Martha, what you see is about 60–70% of the American people do treasure their Second Amendment rights and don't want to see any kind of extreme gun control.
Well, the NRA has added 100,000 people paying members to their rolls. They're shooting for 5 million in the course of this debate, and it is a serious one and one we need to have in a serious way. So I thank you both for talking about it this morning. Doug, thank you. Monica, always a pleasure.